All right, Carrie, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So, first things first, tell me your name, your company, and your position there.
Yep. So my name is Carrie Mapes, and I am a co-founder with my friend Patty Pappas, my business partner now, Patty Pappas, and we founded Hello Again Products, which is the first cannabis product specifically formulated for women in menopause.
That is awesome. What was the journey like to starting Hello Again?
I know. Well, so neither Patty or I were entrepreneurs before this. Patty was in fundraising. I was an elementary school teacher. We each had been home for a couple decades, taking care of each of our, collective 5 kids. But one day it was back when cannabis became adult use legal in California. And we were literally curious. We did not have a relationship with cannabis. But we went to a dispensary, just like 2 friends, kind of curious. And it was a beautiful dispensary. It was the Pottery. Shout out to the Pottery in LA. And the bud was excellent and really just spent tons of time with us. We had 100 questions, starting with things as simple as, what is that? And what do you do with it? To how does cannabis work in the body? And really, we looked around and cannabis was addressing all kinds of things like anxiety, sleeplessness, mood, and we were learning how cannabis, interacts with your endocannabinoid system. And we literally drew a direct line between what cannabis could do and what we were experiencing as women in menopause, where when your hormones go crazy and so many of your systems, your cognitive system, your physical systems, your emotional systems all get out of whack. So it was pretty immediate for us that we really wanted to use cannabis to kind of creatively problem solve our own menopause. But what we couldn't find was the product that we wanted. We didn't want to smoke or vape. We knew we didn't want to smell like cannabis and get on with our day. We knew we didn't want to get high because we wanted a product that would help us feel better so that we could XYZ, whatever it is that fills your big dynamic day. And that's what we couldn't find. So that put us on the path to figuring out what this product should be and how to make it.
Yeah.
And I think we felt pretty strongly about how to market it. That part we kind of instinctively knew how to do, but the rest of it we figured out along the way. And it took about 1.5 years before we launched on our first 2 shelves. And kind of a nice part of the story is that the Pottery was one of our first 2 shops as well. So there was kind of like a nice story arc there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that was right before COVID hit. So we're on the shelves now for 2 years.
So since cannabis was legalized in California, tell me about your journey with cannabis, what you thought of it prior to legalization and how it changed.
Well, I'm 54 years old. So I grew up during the war on drugs. I was frankly probably a little chicken anyway. Cannabis back in my day or in my town or my school, whatever it was a little bit more of a boys' experience than a girl's. Believe me, I had my share of wine coolers and beer and all that other stuff, but I didn't have any relationship with cannabis really. And, obviously cannabis was really different then too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I went on to raise my kids, and you only know what you know. And I think I probably would have come down really hard on them for cannabis. I was probably a little bit more lenient on the things I knew. And now that I look back on that, wow, it's crazy what a 180. I do remember there was a period in my life when I was in my 20s and my dad was really sick. And he had stomach cancer, and our next door neighbor came over and offered cannabis. And my whole family was like, oh, no, that's not for us. No. Looking back, oh my God. I mean, it breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. It would have been so much more comfortable. He, probably, I don't know, his prognosis was pretty dim, but the days could have been a lot better. So that is a regret that I have. And now I'm really starting to enjoy the cannabis drinks. It's, I think, an amazing replacement for alcohol, which is doing none of us any favors.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I use our product.
I think that's awesome. I also love the cannabis drinks. I think they are such a phenomenal development. Like, yeah, you don't even need alcohol at this point.
Yeah, and it just, it allows you to still participate in a ritual that is important to a lot of people, and, barware and cheersing and clink and all of that. So anyway.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Sorry.
So now that you've been in the industry for a couple of years, what's something that you see that really excites you?
Oh, interesting. Well, certainly what really excites me is where dispensaries have come since we even just first got on the shelves. The products in general on the shelves are much more elevated. The packaging and the marketing is much more elevated. It parallels familiar shopping experiences now much more than it ever did for people who are new to cannabis and new to dispensaries. So I think that's terrific. A lot of stores are building out their wellness sections, even shops that you wouldn't have guessed would make a move toward that. But I think that's terrific. And that, I mean, first of all, it's great for Hello again. We're a wellness product. But secondly, it really goes a long way to destigmatizing, right? Cannabis and the use of cannabis. So I love seeing shops do that. And then, I feel from where I sit that female entrepreneurs and female focused brands are really blossoming right now in the state of California. Of course, that's the space I live in, so I don't know how much of an echo chamber I'm sitting in right now, but I think that's really exciting. And for Patty and me, because we launched right before COVID, we really didn't have colleagues right off the bat because everybody was in their little silo. And it's been really great now that, that we can all mingle a little bit and mix a little bit. We've really met some fantastic, supportive female entrepreneurs in the space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So on the opposite end of that spectrum, what's like something you're seeing in the industry right now that you're really not a fan of?
Well, I think, again, from where I sit, every time there's a problem, it seems that it gets pushed onto the brand. If the dispensaries are having inventory problems, then there's a new thing that the brands have to do to help the dispensaries with their inventory. And if the distributors are getting crunched in some kind of way, they pass that on to the brands. We're starting to see more dispensaries that are pay to play, which isn't something that we generally do. But we're seeing that more and more. So it's really tough. I mean, in some way, the cannabis industry, I guess in California, I can only speak to, is going to bite the hand that feeds them in some respect because the brands are really getting pinched.
I've heard that a bit about the California industry, that they're hitting a rough point right now.
Yep, all true.
Unfortunate to see from one of the pioneering states in cannabis legislation.
I think let's just think of them as growing pains, just growing.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I hear a lot about in the industry is making sustainable business choices and making sure that we're incorporating, the mission of the plant into what we're doing. So as a product facing business, how are you guys factoring in sustainability to your choices?
Well, so we have some, obviously our ingredients. That's one area we have complete control over, and we work with organic, almost completely ingredients as available, and all natural, good business practices. But then our packaging. So our packaging is recyclable. Unfortunately, there are two areas where we can't be recyclable. One is our childproof pouch. And two is our suppositories are made on a pharmaceutical grade, suppository filling machine. They go into sterile, here's one. They go into sterile individual packages like this. Pull this apart to get the suppository out, and there's nothing we can do about this amount of plastic. But we did choose not to include an applicator. And we've made other choices like that along the way about our swag. Where we're really trying not to put more plastic and junk out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you touched on seeing women in the cannabis industry, seeing women entrepreneurs, and diversity, inclusion, social equity is something that I hear a lot about in this industry. So can you talk to me about how being a woman in this space affects your choices there?
Well, we're a small company, but we're
Mhm.
entirely female run. We have, I don't know, between 10 and 15 employees right now, all women, and
Mhm.
they vary in ranges from 21 to 60. Not quite
Mhm.
60. Not quite. I'll round up. I'll round up. From the very beginning, and COVID did interrupt this, but we're getting back to it now. From the very beginning, we really envisioned kind of this army of women working for us. And this is a different group of women than I think you're referring to, but it's a group of women who also, get overlooked. And that's,
Mhm.
you've raised your kids, you have a set of skills, but you've taken some time off, or you've left the marketplace for the workforce for some reason, but you still have a lot to contribute, but you can't just go into a conventional job search and be as successful. And we envision that for our company, like women who, may or may not be in menopause, but certainly are in midlife and are mad talented, but just don't have a platform to perform.
Stay-at-home moms, people who have a gap in their resume for raising their kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They definitely get overlooked in the job market. You have that gap on your resume and it just disqualifies you for a lot of things.
Yep, that's right. But gosh, I mean, if there's one thing that Patty and I have learned this phase of life, I mean, the wisdom that you have accrued over all of these years, we've really put to good work in this entrepreneurial space.
Yeah, it takes a lot to stay at home and raise your kids. It's not effortless by any means. And there's skills that translate very well.
Yeah, definitely.
So launching during COVID could not have been easy. What was the biggest challenge that you guys overcame?
Well, it's funny because the original format for a brand that would have launched was, in-store events, a lot of in-person things. We had events called Menopausiums planned where we were going to bring, people together to talk about cannabis and menopause and other issues that might affect women at this phase of life. Of course, that was all just back burner. Also, our ability to even go into dispensaries was completely back burner. So in some cases, some dispensaries wouldn't even allow us in for, staff training.
Oh, wow.
So, we pivoted as best we could. A couple of good things happened. We developed a training video and all of that kind of thing. But we also, there was just an explosion of virtual events and podcasts. And, so we really, we really got our feet wet quickly and learned a lot, because all of a sudden we had all this opportunity to reach, which ended up being more people than, than the 25 that would come to the dispensary on a Tuesday night between 7 and 9 or whatever it was. So in a way that was really great. Patty and I had to really figure out, the technology part of it and the presentation part of it, but we did. I'm glad. I don't think anyone can see our first one. I think that we certainly didn't post it. But that was one thing. And then secondly, because it all just kind of slowed down during COVID, I think that Patty and I would have, it basically gave us opportunity to learn every aspect of the business. And if things were chugging along as they were before COVID, I think we would have had to hire a little bit of expertise early on, or contract out a little bit of expertise early on. But because the pace of play was a little bit slower, we figured out every single aspect of our business. And I think I know that's allowed us to be really lean. We have a really lean team here, and we're now much more discerning about what kind of help we need. We're presented with opportunities for people to sell us some kind of service constantly.
I'm sure.
And having that time period to kind of develop our own expertise has really been a valuable filter to evaluate all of those things through.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really allows you to get elbows deep and everything going on.
Yeah.
So what is something that you are really proud of accomplishing?
Oh my gosh. Well, 100%. First of all, the product changed my life, changed Patty's life. And the best thing ever is getting, opening up the email and seeing that we got submissions on our website overnight or whatever with women who have found the product and are using it specifically. So we formulated for menopause. but we have a daytime formula and a nighttime formula. The nighttime one has a little more THC in it, but you still don't get high, but it, you know, it's more, I don't know how much you know about our product, but
I was on your website before this.
yeah. So what makes us different is we also have these other botanicals in. So we're providing terpenes with the right ratios of THC and CBD to either help you with temperature regulation and mood and energy level and all of that in the daytime or at night. And originally for women in menopause, but women with endometriosis pain found us, and women with, especially early on, women who worked in dispensaries found us, younger women for menstrual pain. Then we had women find us who were kicked into early menopause because of their cancer treatment, either because of radiation or because they're taking estrogen blocking drugs now. So that one was huge. Like that has really touched both Patty and I quite a bit, because those women are just so much younger when they're going through menopause, and so their peers aren't going through menopause, and it's much more like going off a cliff. It's physically really challenging. So that's been terrific. And then every once in a while there'll be a submission. Like there was one that just said this product was soul saving, which I just can't, you know, that is why we're doing this. We were not sitting around thinking, how can we get into the cannabis space? That is not our story. I mean, we're customer founders. We thought this would help us. We tried it. It did. And helping other people is the reason that we're doing this. This is why I want this product to be around in 25 years when I'm too old to be the face of menopause.
I think it's awesome. You hear a lot about how cannabis can help specifically with women's issues that modern medicine isn't, but there's not a ton of products on the market to do that yet. There's not a ton of suppositories on the market for women. So it's incredible that you guys were able to really take this by the reins and bring this to market.
Thank you. I'm grateful to the product for sure.
So when somebody uses your product, what kind of experience do you want them to walk away with?
Okay, well, so our daytime formula, I'm going to start with the nighttime formula, because honestly, if you can get a good night's sleep, everything is better. So let's just address that right off the bat. So the nighttime formula, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you put it in, you go to bed. I read a few pages of my book. Like you can kind of feel this relaxation that really kind of starts in your pelvis. And if you just lean into it and go to sleep, what happens for women who haven't had a good night's sleep in years, you go to sleep, you stay asleep. Or if your dog, your bladder, whatever, your baby wakes you up in the night, you can go back to sleep. And when you wake up in the night, you're not groggy and you don't feel high. So you can get up and function, but then you can also get back in bed and go back to sleep. And it's a beautiful sleep. It is not an alcohol-induced sleep where you wake up feeling tired. It's different than that. You wake up feeling rested. So that's a beautiful thing. Because it's a vaginal suppository, it's made of cocoa butter and vitamin E and avocado oil. It's also very nourishing. Vaginal dryness is an issue for women as they age, and it doesn't go away after your period stops. So that's also, you know, it's moisturizing, it's lubricating, all good. The daytime product is more subtle, but if, again, get up in the morning, what I do is I get up in the morning, kind of brush my teeth, put it in, get back in bed, answer my few emails, maybe have a cup of coffee, just kind of let things settle. And then you may need to use a panty liner. You may not, it just kind of depends on body shape. But it melts within 30 minutes and you can kind of feel the effects within an hour. The daytime formula has far less CBD, and it's kind of, we formulated it to be more subtle, but what ends up happening is, what I tell women, just put it in and forget about it. At the end of the day, take stock on the day. And the common experience is I had more sustained energy during the day. I had more patience during the day. I didn't take the bait when I heard the fighting words. I let them go. I didn't double down. It addresses hot flashes. So yes, you still might start to get hot, but you can take off your sweater or open a window like a normal person and cool down. Unlike hot flashes that are associated with menopause, where it's just a furnace and it's going to burn until it burns out. Same thing for the nighttime. The nighttime addresses that, night sweats too. What took me to my knees in menopause, what actually took me to a doctor, was brain fog. I thought that was showing early signs of some real cognitive trouble. And I drove myself to a memory specialist because I thought I was losing it.
Mhm.
And this helps with brain fog. It helps with focus. It lifts brain fog and helps with focus. So one way that it was affecting me is I couldn't find my words. I would craft a sentence and get all the way up to the starring role, and I couldn't find that word.
Mhm.
And this helps tremendously. So if I have a day where we're making a presentation or I need to be sharp, it's a busy day, I'll use it kind of preemptively for that too.
That's awesome. It sounds like overall what you guys are doing is just making this process so much more comfortable in a way that nobody else has really been able to address.
That's right. And so some people, for example, some people still need to take hormones for different reasons. I stopped taking hormones when I formulated this product to see if it would work completely on its own, and I never went back. My partner has other reasons that she continues to take hormones, but it allows her to take a lower dose
Mhm.
because usually if you're on hormones, if it's not working completely, then they'll just up your hormones until it does. But if you can take care of that spillover experience with this too, that's another way that women are using it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can stimulate your endocannabinoid system, that really helps with the hormonal regulation as opposed to just putting more in.
That's true. So I found that I can use now I can kind of I used to use it every day. I can now use it every third day, every third night, and everything kind of stays balanced. And I start to feel wobbly and I use it again.
So what's next for you guys? What are you doing from here?
Super exciting. So what's next is we're going to be coming to the state of Michigan very soon, within the year. So we're thrilled about that. We have great partners there. And we're right now in the final stages of formulating 2 new SKUs. One is for younger women. And I talked about endometriosis pain and menstrual pain. This one's going to be focused on pain, anxiety, and focus. And then another one is going to be for hangovers.
Oh,
It works. We found out it works for that too.
Interesting.
It makes great sense. I mean, it bypasses your stomach. So, if that's a little bit of a mess, then you can bypass that. But, the anti-inflammatory, the anti-pain, but we're definitely formulating for that. And we're super excited about our newest prototype. It's been working beautifully.
That's awesome. So right now you're available in California. You're coming to Michigan. Can people in any other states get your products right now?
Not yet. We hope those
Right.
pass the regulations.
Yeah, they make it challenging.
They can be challenging. The ability to ship our product and the ability to bank openly, those are the two key for us, for any cannabis brand.
Yeah, that's something I hear really repeatedly. Shipping and banking are just such a problem.
Yeah.
So personally, what is your favorite way to consume cannabis?
Well, hello again. For sure. I have to say, like, I'm sorry, but I think because my family has not had a good history with smoking, not pot, but smoking. I'm a little bit like, I'm a little chicken still about smoking. So where did I go? I went to Sarah and I bought, I'm a painter, and I bought a pre-roll that was for creativity. I thought, that's it. I'm buying this, taking it home. I'm going to find the right day of doing it. And I have to say, it's like been sitting there for 6 weeks probably, and I haven't done it yet. And it's ridiculous. I should, but I haven't. So until I do that, I guess my answer is certainly hello again. Also, we talked a little bit about the beverages. I think Wender is terrific. I think Artet is really good. I think Can is really good. I don't know if these are even meaningful because I'm remembering that you're not in California, but that's been great. And my mom is in her 80s and never ever used cannabis. And I introduced her to the drinks because she just can't drink alcohol anymore. And that's been really fun to see her adapt and enjoy those. I love the face oils. I think there's so much good stuff is going to happen with skincare in cannabis. Some is happening, but the face oils in particular are terrific. And of course the bath bombs.
Oh yes, those are lovely.
Yeah, bath bombs are great. Oh, and also the patches I use a lot for, I play a lot of tennis, and I'll use the patches, the pain patches for sure.
Gotcha.
Like
It
a
doesn't even
muscle
sound
freeze,
like,
muscle freeze. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't even sound like you need to smoke. You have so many other ways of enjoying the plant.
That's true.
So this has been wonderful. I have one more question for you, but before I dive into that, is there anything that I didn't ask or that you want to share before we reach the end of this?
I think I would say no matter what your age, women tend to take care of everybody else in their lives. And at their, and they're at the end of the list. And I certainly have been guilty of that probably my whole life, which is why my own menopause went kind of untreated for years, 3 years, probably. If my kids had been complaining of what I was experiencing, I would have been taking copious notes and taking them to doctors, but I didn't do that for myself.
Mhm.
And, you deserve to feel good. And you got to put your own oxygen mask on first. And so I think what I would say is take care of yourselves. Find what works for you. Be open-minded and find what works for you.
Absolutely. And I think cannabis is an opportunity for women to explore that in a way that they maybe haven't been able to before.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it to see more people explore cannabis in whatever way they're comfortable. But if you just need to start with research, do that. But like bath bomb is a good way to start.
Yes, a bath bomb is a very fun way to start. Then you get a little spa night and you get to try cannabis.
Yeah.
So my last question for you today is, what is your favorite fun fact about cannabis?
Oh, my favorite fun fact about cannabis.
Or even just the first one that comes to mind.
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm so ashamed that I'm blanking right now because I think I come home at night and say, "Did you know?" Blah, 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 blah. And now I guess I just incorporated it all into my knowledge. I don't even feel like they're notable things anymore. Well, I mean, I should probably keep it. I'm not going to say anything that anyone doesn't already know, I don't think, but historically speaking, cannabis has been used for thousands of years by women, for sure. Famously, Queen Victoria using cannabis for her menstrual health, right? And there's records of all kinds of use of cannabis, especially by women. It's so sad that we've lost all that knowledge. I did read somewhere that they thought, I don't know if this is true, so I'm going to preempt it, but I did read somewhere that they're starting to think that the endocannabinoid system is responsible for kind of that mysterious thing that signals when women go into labor.
Really? Interesting.
That the endocannabinoid system might play a role in that. So that's it. That's
my dive into that.
Yeah. That's my fun possible fact.
I haven't heard that one before, so I'm going to have to dive into that.
Okay. All right.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate getting to pick your brain and learn more about what you do.
I loved every minute. That was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you.